So, I've been asked to describe how it feels to live with an incurable disease, I guess you can say. I think that the hardest part would have to be knowing that it's incurable and that there's nothing really you could do about it. Everything that you do about it is actually just a temporary fix. Um, so I live with end-stage renal disease or kidney disease. I'm in the last stage. I'm in stage 5. So there's nothing that I can do. It's irreversible. I will say that it's hereditary. Just recently, my mom, who received a transplant 15 years ago, ended up back on dialysis in August. So that's where my mom is at right now. I dropped off earlier to dialysis to receive her treatment. Um, so the fixes for kidney disease or renal disease are dialysis, which is where you go a certain amount of times a week for a certain amount of times of hours. I go for Monday, Wednesday, Friday. My mom does Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And I go for 6 a.m. and I'm usually home by 11. So I wake up at 5, get myself together, and get ready to receive treatment that can save my life, I guess. It cleanses your blood because you don't urinate. Usually when you have kidney disease, you can't filter out the bacteria and the bad shit that's in your body, in your system. I sit there for, a long time in a chair, uncomfortable. I usually watch movies from the time that I'm there until it's time to go. I try not to sleep. I get uncomfortable sleeping in public places. And I feel like I have to stay aware and alert of what's going on. Things happen, and I'm just not comfortable sleeping. The other fix for having end-stage renal disease is a transplant. Receiving a transplant from a living donor would be best. So someone you know, someone you don't know, someone generous enough to go ahead and donate a kidney to you. I've never received a transplant. I've been on dialysis. This week makes 4 years now. So, whatever. It is what it is. There's nothing I could do about it. Receiving a transplant will not it's not a permanent fix either. There's a possibility that on an operating table after surgery or right after receiving the transplant, a week later, months later, years later, just like my mom's situation, that you will end up back on dialysis. There's a chance that the surgery won't go through, that everything matched up when you were being tested to even find out if you matched, and getting on the table and it not working at all. So there's that. And that discourages me from wanting to transplant. See my mom, end up back on dialysis discourages me from wanting a transplant. Going through testing and the trials and tribulations of getting a workup every year, having people say, "Oh, I'll give you a kidney," and doing the steps that it takes to receive a transplant, and going through all those stages of thinking you're gonna get a transplant discourages me from wanting to get a transplant. I've been through that multiple times where I'm to the point of, as someone's telling me, "Oh, I'll give you a transplant," or "I want to donate a kidney to you," until I'm on that operating table, I've gotten to that point to where it's like, okay, yeah, that's nice of you. I don't know how to respond to when people get excited for me when someone tells me they want to go through the steps of giving me a kidney. I can't get excited anymore because I've been let down so many times by people that's family members, not family members, friends. So, I'm not to that point of being excited anymore unless I'm on an operating table receiving the transplant, getting the IV in my arm to receive the anesthesia until I wake up. Even, and you know what, is even if the transplant works or it doesn't work, as long as somebody actually went the full process and actually kept their word of giving me one, then I'll be grateful for forever. But being younger as well, I found out that they're trying to reverse the way they decided to do. Well, I don't know. At first it was first come first serve, match how long you been on the list type thing, but now it's to the point where they're finally like, hey, the younger you are, the more likely you will need another transplant in years to come. So now they want to give the kidneys from the younger donors to the younger recipients instead of just giving the older people in their 60s like a 16-year-old kidney or something like that. So, they want to prolong that kidney's life as long as possible. So, there's that. How do I feel about being on dialysis and living with it? I feel like it's something that I can't do anything about. It's something that was inevitable. It was bound to happen, probably. It was either me or one of my siblings. I don't know who had it before my mom, but I would prefer it to be me other than my sister and my brother. I just feel that way. I wouldn't want them to go through this. I wouldn't want anybody to go through this. It upsets me that my mom has to go through this again. It's hard because you don't have a choice, and I don't like not having control over everything in my life. I miss working. I mean, I can work, but sometimes and some days I'm not able to function. I'm not able to do much. And sometimes friends or whatever, they don't understand that as well. I've lost a lot of friends. I mean, I guess it's true when they say you get sick or have a baby and see who your real friends are, because they don't understand, like, you can't control how you feel. Yeah, I can make plans with you, but I may not be able to go through with those plans. So social life, it's affected that. Working, getting my money that I like doing. I went to hair school. I went to Aveda. And I did that, but it's also hard for me to stand up for a long period of time without swelling bad. I contain fluid in my face. Eating habits, things like that. I love food. I'm from New Orleans, so I eat all day. I like what I like. And it affects that as well. No high phosphorus foods. So that includes dairy. I love ice cream. I love cereal. No dairy. I can't do the almond milk because no high potassium foods, no high sodium foods, no bananas, no oranges, no tomatoes, no salad dressings, no gravies, because your fluid intake is also changed. You can only obtain a certain amount of fluids a day before you get to that feeling of your body being smothered or feel like you're drowning, and you can hear it in your lungs if you listen with a stethoscope. You can feel it when you breathe, you lie down. It affects the way you sleep if you have too much fluid gained. I try not to gain more than 3 kilos. I usually don't. I've seen people come in with 5 to 10, and that is almost what if you want to do it to pounds, you multiply whatever times 2.22. So There's that. That includes anything that melts at room temperature. So that sucks. And then I have pica. I love ice, so that affects that. Um, you know, it's crazy because I do love what I like, Starbucks, of course. I do like the coffee with the cream. And then I rather drink more than I rather eat, so that sucks. I get dehydrated a lot. It affects everything. It affects just your other body parts as well, and other organs. Sometimes you have failure from that because you're not urinating. You can't, you know, let out the fluids that you intake, so it builds up, of course. And I don't like the feeling of being smothered or feeling like I'm drowning. I wake up out of my sleep trying to gasp for air if I overdo my fluids. So I would recommend not doing that. You get diarrhea sometimes, you get nausea sometimes, you get constipated sometimes, you get other problems. Sometimes dialysis makes things worse more than it helps. Some days you feel great coming from dialysis. Lately, when you, like my mom, because she just started again, she feels like shit after. Weak, barely able to walk, bad migraines, dizzy, nausea, unable to stand. But sometimes right before she goes, she feels great, and it drains the life out of you. It's cleaning your blood, so it's taking 2 needles, putting into either your catheter, I've had those, of course, that, or into your access in your arm or your leg, anywhere that you could get a fistula, or which is an artery and a vein of your own, connected, able to pump, blood from the 2 needles. Or you can get a graft, which is a artificial piece put into you, which I have right now. And my arm looks horrible. I can show. I'm sure. I think I've showed it before. I know I've showed it before. This is my arm. This is where I'm cut from. So I'm so dry, ashy. So this was that, from here all the way up until my armpit. It goes all the way down. This was my first one. It didn't work at all. It's small. You can barely see it. It's right here. That was a fistula. Never worked. Then I had this one right here that's along the side. And that's where I was cut from this first one all the way to my armpit. And that was the fistula as well, which was my own. And then this one right here where it's kind of bulging, it was cut from this little curve to this curve. And that's a graft now. It's a horseshoe graft. So it goes here to here. And that is where, I'm sorry. That is where they stick 2 needles in. Right now I'm getting 16 gauge needles. They're about that long. You get 2, an arterial and a venous. One takes the blood out, and then the other puts the blood back in. It's like a big loop. You can see where exactly I'm stuck. You can still see the marks from how big the needles are when they're in your arms. These were from this one was from yesterday, and then you get one like 2 finger lengths apart, and this one was from yesterday. Well, one of them was from yesterday as well. What sucks about that though sometimes is the bleeding, because you have to hold your sticks after, and I'm ready to go after. It takes up so much time. You could get it in your catheter, but catheters you can't get wet, so there's no showers, which sucks. My mom had surgery on her arm to get her access put in on this side. She had one on this side before. Now she has one on her right side, which is uncomfortable for her being right-handed. she received a fistula. So we're going to let that mature, which takes up to 2 months sometimes for a fistula because it's your own skin. Usually with the graft, it could take 2 weeks for it to mature, and then they can start sticking it from there. Once they start sticking her, they can remove her catheter, which is giving her hell because it's irritated. You know, they have to clean it, and it hurts. It's not a comfortable thing to have something foreign from your jugular until, you know, it reaches your chest. So you get a scar here, and then you get it down here from where it goes, so you can see the bulk of the, you know, the catheter going down, and then you get 2, you know, arterial venous lines as well coming out of your chest. So there's that. So it affects your life in every way it can. Socially, relationships, yes. I've had boyfriends. I've been in relationships. And that usually, I don't know, it takes a lot of trust to be with someone during a time like this because things get hard, you know, and sometimes people feel like that's something that they'll be able to help you with and cope through. But at the same time, when you're not experiencing it yourself, it's a difficult thing to know what your partner is going through. And I've even dated someone that works at a clinic and, you know, put people on dialysis. But until you go through it yourself and have to physically be put on dialysis and go through it, there's still some things you will never understand. So to see it and to deal with it, 2 completely different things. It takes trust because that person sometimes can get fed up with you being tired, never wanting to do anything. Your libido is down. Sometimes you want to have sex, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want to be bothered, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get mood swings. I can say, yeah, you do. But, you know, it is what it is. The medicine can bring you down. The things you can do and limit it to, you know, that can put a damper on a relationship. Your physical appearance. Sometimes people can like the way you look until they realize, oh, you have scars from this, or you're physically flawed because of things that are permanent. I mean, this is there always. And then if you receive a transplant, you're going to have a big scar on your body. So your body's, you know, pretty imperfect. But that's something you can't help. And some people are grossed out by the things that you go through and just aren't attracted to you. But it's not that, you know, I've never had people not attracted to me. But you know, it's hard, and you don't want to force somebody to be somewhere where you don't feel like they're comfortable in that situation. They can love you, of course, but, you know, you need to be okay first. And I want to be with somebody that wants to be with me, but also can understand, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm not going to be 100% all the time, you know, and just able to chill. I mean, I'm 25. I'll be 26 next month. I have time. I'm not worried about it. I see the older couples that come into the clinic, and I love the relationship they have, how they're there and, you know, very supportive. And on top of it, making sure, you know, they're in the know. They want to know what's going on with their significant other, and they want to be there every step of the way. They want to understand. I want someone that's willing to take the time to sit down and understand. And I don't want to rush into something that, you know, just because I'm lonely or just because I want that physical connection with somebody. I want the mental, emotional, physical connection with somebody. So I can wait, you know, I can wait. But, oh, another thing, food-wise as well, I'm thinking about it. Every time you eat, you have to take a binder. I freaking hate binders. Right now, they're huge. Let me see. Got it. I take these. It says They're 800 milligram tablets called Renvela. This one says take 3, buy them out with each meal and 1 with snacks. So every time I eat something or drink something that has high phosphorus in it, which everything has phosphorus in it apparently. So even some fruit, of course, like bananas has the potassium and stuff. You know, I have to take these. Garage is opening. I have to take these. These are them. Look how big they are. They're this big. 3 each meal. Sometimes I don't want to eat because I don't want to take this shit at all. But I dropped one. But yeah. So basically, my life sucks. No, but just kidding. It could be worse. It could be way worse, and I see people in worse situations than I'm in. So someone's always worse off than you are. So, you know, you take it as it is. It's nothing you could do about it. You still have to live your life, which sometimes I need to realize that as well. I need to live my life and stop sulking sometimes. But it does get depressing, but it is what it is, you know? Could be worse, but if you have any questions, I mean, might as well ask. I can answer them as quick as I can, but that's the most I could think about right now. I got a lot on my mind, and that's another thing I forget a lot. But questions, comments, let me know. I can answer things better than me just coming off the top of the dome. So yeah.